everyone. Thank you all for joining this informative session, which will be conducted in English as we have participants from many different countries. Let me start by introducing my colleague, Carla Carbonell, and myself, Irene Puga. Together with the rest of the team, we will try our best to make this session as practical as possible. A quick reminder that you can find all the information for this call in our website. Please check carefully the provided documents, especially the rules for participation and the manual for submission, as well as some useful facts from previous editions. For any specific doubt, you can always contact us at this email address. Let's start with a short video on the CaixaResearch health call.
Do you have what it takes to cure cancer? Do you have what it takes to cure COVID-19? Some of the biggest challenges facing science and society are related to health. That's why the CaixaResearch Health Call is aimed at teams located in Spain and Portugal to promote the most promising initiatives with the greatest scientific and social impact in the following areas: neuroscience, oncology, cardiovascular and associated metabolic diseases, infectious diseases, and enabling technologies related to the previous 4 health areas. Get up to €500,000 for projects promoted by a single organisation, and up to €1 million for projects promoted by a research consortium of 2 to 5 organisations. Both civil organisations and patient associations can take part in all the projects to improve the social impact of your proposal. The selection process has 2 phases. The first phase is carried out remotely by peer reviewers, resulting in a shortlist of the best 12 to 15 proposals per thematic area, which will then have a face-to-face interview with an expert committee. This is a highly competitive call, so make sure your proposal is faultless and fully meets the requirements. Any project scoring less than 5.5 out of a total of 8 on the remote evaluation will not be eligible for the subsequent call. It's also important to carefully choose the keywords that define your proposal to ensure the most suitable peer reviewers assess your project. All evaluators involved in this call are international experts in their respective fields. The guidelines and rules for this call are available on the website. Submit your proposal between the 28th of September and 25th of November 2021. Consult all the details on our website. Working together to face the challenge.
Okay, we have divided the session into 2 sections. First, I will introduce general and more conceptual facts that we gather from previous editions. Next, Carla will explain certain aspects of the online system in a visual manner. Please use the chat tool to send questions that have not been answered during our explanations so we can discuss them afterwards. As you all know, the call is now open for submission until November 25th at 2 p.m. CET. And here you have the timeline of the evaluation, which has a remote phase and a selection committee with face-to-face interviews. In order to start a proposal as project leader, what we refer as PL, you must comply these pre-eligibility parameters. Your remote evaluations from last year's proposals, both as PL and or principal investigators, what we refer as PI, require at least a 5.5. If you submitted more than 1 proposal, all remote evaluations must be at least 5.5. Granted PLs from the previous 3 editions cannot submit a proposal as PL. As this is the 5th edition of the call, granted PLs from the 1st edition can apply now as PL, even if they have asked for an extension of their project. The host organizations must be based in Spain and Portugal, although other partners can be from any country. There are no limitations of number of proposals per organization. 1 researchers can submit only 1 proposal as PL, but they can also apply as PI or team members in any other proposals without limitation. These are the 5 thematic areas. Consider that the selection committee of enabling technologies will be more prone to evaluate the creation and development of health facilitating technologies where their expertise is focused on. In other thematic areas, the panels are not experts in enabling technologies. We try to distribute equitably the 19 million total budget of the call among these 5 thematic areas. These are the type of projects that can be submitted. In this case, the budget distribution among type of projects is not predefined and will only depend on the ranking in the selection committee. Each proposal should have only 1 PI per organization. From the host organization, only the PL. Other researchers from the same organization should be included in the team members of the corresponding organization. The curriculum vitae of the team members is not evaluated per se, only the PL and the PI CV. Team members from other organizations are not allowed. For example, in individual proposals, all team members should be from the host organization. The CSO should perform non-research activities in the project, such as dissemination, patient engagement, sample providers, and so on. Their budget is optional. Partners have a scientific role, and their budget is mandatory. For-profit entities are not allowed to participate as partners, but their activities can be subcontracted by any of the proposal's organizations. This call is not entitled for proposals with a clear benefit for for-profit organizations. Therefore, if the results are subject to rights held by for-profit organizations before the submission, the proposal is not eligible. These are the concepts in the budget. Indirect costs are up to 10% of the direct cost, not considering the subcontracting. For consortium proposals with international partners, the total amount of budget that can be distributed to non-Spanish or Portuguese organizations is up to 30%. There is no limit in the different concepts or distribution among partners, but consider that the budget is important for the evaluation of the proposal. Personal expenses may include new contracts, salary complements, or contracts already paid by the organization. And finally, the keywords. A very important element that defines the remote evaluation of your proposal. The PL should select the keywords in the online system from the NIH mesh tree, which has a tree structure with branches at different levels. One keyword can be classified in more than one branch. This example may be helpful for our explanation. Brain neoplasm can be found in the C10 branch, but also in the C4 branch. By selecting brain neoplasm, these and all the keywords in upper levels will be considered to assign the peer reviewers. By selecting it in the C4 branch, the keyword neoplasms would also be considered. If you select it in the C10 branch, your project is more prone to be evaluated by a neuroscience expert, whereas the C4 branch will lead to an expert on the oncology field. For that reason, we recommend you to select the keyword at the lowest level possible, as keywords above will be considered in the process of selecting reviewers, and to select only the keyword from the branch that best fits your proposal. You should select main keywords that should describe the core of your proposal and will have a higher impact in the selection of reviewers, and other important keywords that should highlight aspects that are not described within the main keywords and which can result in important expertise for the revision of the proposal. Due to the availability of the remote experts and their own keywords, our pool of experts are different from each edition. Therefore, a resubmitted proposal will not necessarily have the same remote evaluators than the previous edition. For the selection committee, only the thematic area is considered to distribute the proposals among the 5 panels. Please check carefully your selection of keywords and thematic areas, as these are important elements in defining the evaluation of your proposal. Carla, please.
Thank you, Irene. In the online system, we can find 2 types of user roles. applicants and organization managers. For the applicants, the project leader is in charge of the submission of the proposal. Again, we remind you the deadline on November 25th, 2 p.m., please. Principal investigators and CSOs will get an invitation from the project leader to participate on the proposal. Organization managers are in charge of the validation of the proposal by the project leader linked to that organization. You will need that validation before the submission. Next to the Save Draft button and the Submission button, you will find a Validate button. Please use it to avoid last-minute problems. This button validates the same eligibility criteria that the Submission button. Using this during all your application will avoid last-minute problems. Please be aware that submitted proposals cannot be modified. Invitations. As we were saying, project leader will send the invitation to the PI and the CSO. If you have selected consortium or a single with CSO projects, you will have your invitations module on the left-handed menu. Get to that section and you will be able to introduce all the information of the people that you want to invite, selecting the roles. Remember, please, that you can only invite one PI for research performing organizations. Again, if you are inviting already pre-registered user in the system, please make sure that you are using the correct email. That's really important. We also advise you to invite all members at once. If you invite a new member, the current members will get a notification. If you remove any member from the list, current members will get a notification and they will need to reapprove their participation in the project. When you get the invitation from the project leader, you will have two steps. First step is accept or decline that invitation. At that point, you can do the registration of your user. If you are already registered, you will access the system. At that point, you will find the participation of the project under the Actions section. You can accept that participation or decline it. You will also be able to access the proposal at that point and check all the information before the acceptance. For the submission, all the invitations and project participations need to be accepted or discarded. If anyone has declined their participation, or if you have invited more than one PI per organization, you will have a conflict situation. At that point, project leader will need to discard in both sections, invitations and project participation. You will need to do that in order to be able to submit. Adding reference and publications to your application. Again, you will need two steps. First step will be to download those reference or publications to your profile. You can go to the publications or reference section and click the first click here. You will be able to search for the publications you want to add. You will always be able to add them manually if you don't find them, but we advise you to look for them first through the search section. When you have already searched for the publications, you can select them and add them through the plus button. When your list of publications or reference are ready, you just create the transaction to your profile. At that point, the reference or publications are linked to your profile. Second step is to add the publications on your application. Click the second click here on this section. Then you will have, and this is new for this year, the option to edit the order to your publication or reference by clicking Edit Order and adding the order number. You can always change, modify, or add publications at any point and edit that order number. At this point, you have your list to add the publications on your application. Just select them and attribute them. By clicking Save Draft, you will find the list of publications or reference that you have selected on your application. Reference are at the end of the Scientific Excellence and Impact tab, and publications at the end of the Project Team tab. This process is exactly the same for both publications and reference. Publications have an extra step. When you have already your publications on your list, at the end of the Project Team tab, you will have to link them to my publications related to the proposal section. Just open that section. You will open a table. You can add lines to that table by the plus button, and you will have to choose the DOI from the dropdown. You will find here the DOI of all the publications you have added to your list. The order number will be automatically added to the table. Then you will be able to write the statement describing the significance. Please take into account that any change on step 1 or step 2, that means adding or removing publications or changing the order number, will need to be refreshed to be updated on step 3 on the table of my publications related to the proposal. This is really important. Gantt diagram. You can generate your tasks by clicking the plus button. You will find a new field as you requested last year related to the task work package. Just introduce all the information and save or confirm. You will need to confirm all the tasks before submitting the proposal. At any point, you can reopen any task from your task list and change any information. By clicking Save Draft, you will see the Gantt diagram on your application. Take into account that the Gantt diagram will be automatically organized by start date. At this point, we just want to remind you again, the helpful documents. Please check the manual for submission. It's a step-by-step process that wants to lead you through the process of application. Just contact us through the contact email for any specific questions you might need. And after this session, you will find the video on our website. Then we can start with the questions that you might have. Please only unanswered questions, as there's a lot of you that want to ask, and we'll try to answer all your questions.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with the first one. It says one doubt, activity for which TRL can be funded. There's no limitation in terms of TRL. It's true that in CaixaResearch, we have other calls that may be more prone into the innovation. And I would suggest to look at them also, but there's no limitation in this call. Just make sure the for-profit issue that I mentioned, that the proposal should not have a benefit for for-profit organizations. If that is accomplished, there's no problem on that.
Okay, question number 2. Can we submit a project on theoretical research or only medical lab proposals?
Yes. Well, this call is entitled for basic clinical or translational research. So having that in mind, if you can fit into the 5 thematic areas, being, in this case, I guess, basic science, more theoretical, and you believe that with the scoring system that has a 25% of impact, your proposal can fit, it should be fine. It's true that if you see the granted projects from previous editions, they're mainly all basic or clinical or translational projects, more lab related, but there's no limitation also there.
Okay, question 3, it's written in Spanish. I'll try to translate. It's mainly asking if CSO can do research activities determined by correlation factors.
Yeah. So what we define, the CSO is normally for non-research activities. If an institution, an organization has a research activity, I think it's better to put it as a partner. But definitely CSO can have budget, and if they do 2 types of activities, maybe it is possible to combine them as a CSO, but think about having them as a partner also, because if they are a research performing organization, they can be a partner and have a budget.
Question number 4, what is the percentage of funding of the project by this grant?
100%. We have, up till now, we have funded all the projects with their total budget. So there's no cuts in terms of funding.
Question number 5, it is possible to enter free keynotes, I guess it's keywords, or only those available in the system. I can answer that myself. You have to choose the keyword from the mesh tree that's in the system. So there's not a free text possibility to add any keyword.
Okay, question 6, the presentation of this season will be available. I guess you mean this presentation, yes, the video that we sent and that we showed, and also this presentation will be available in the online system.
No, es queden aquestes preguntes. És que arriben amb molt de delay.
I don't get the difference between PL and PI. I'm going to submit the proposal. I can answer that myself. The PL is the PI from the host organization. So all the applicants are PIs, besides CSOs. All the partners are PIs, but the PI for the host organization is the project leader. You are coordinating the project. So if you are the researcher in the host organization, you are the project leader. You are the PL and you are in charge of submitting the proposal. What's the meaning of translational projects? Irene, you can go ahead.
Yes, there's the definition in the 3.6 of the rules for participation, but it's basically a project that fosters the bidirectional integration of basic and clinical research, both ways. But you can check a more specific definition in the 3.6 of the rules for participation.
Question number 9, percentage of equipment funding, 100% or depreciation? 100%.
Yes.
We don't have any more questions at the moment.
Can you hear us properly? Maybe there's a problem.
We can give you some more time if you want to. If we submit a project in 2018 that was rejected, can we submit a new project this year? Yes, of course. If it was rejected, you can submit a project every year. If it was selected, you are blocked in the next 3 editions. If you presented on 2018 and you were selected, you will be able to present the project in this edition, even having an extension.
And the limitation of the 5.5, it's only from the last editions. So from the 2021 edition, if you have a less than 5.5, in this case, either as PL or as PI, you will not be able to submit in this edition, but you can submit it in the following one as PL. You can always participate as PI or team members in any proposals without any limitation.
If we don't have any more questions, just remember that you will always contact us through the email.
Yes, I don't know if we should wait a little bit just in case any more questions come. In the meantime, let's remind again the validate button. I think this year it's very, very important that you try to validate your proposal in advance, way in advance. You can continue typing and editing the proposal, even if you validate, but you just have to make sure that everything is correct, because if you have a problem or an issue right before the deadline, we will not be able to answer to help you. And any proposal that cannot be submitted on time cannot be saved. So it is important for you to validate all the time, especially 24 hours before the submission, and make sure that everything you have is correct.
Okay, one new question. Is CSIC considered as unique host institution? Yes, it is.
So each organization is a NIF or an ID. So in this case, CSIC has one ID or NIF, so it's one organization. If you have members of different CSIC centers, you can add them in your team members, but not as a PI.
Not research, dissemination, or others? I'm not sure if I understand that question.
Not research, dissemination, or others. I guess they're talking about the CSOs. I don't know. That they have more.
Question 13 might be the extended question related to CSOs. Could a CSO perform research activities besides non-research ones? Could you give us an example, an idea of non-scientific activities? Could a CSO ask for budget?
Yes, a CSO can ask for budget. They're usually patient engagement activities, dissemination. Sometimes it's sample providers. It's activities that they do not participate itself in the research, but they add, they complement with different views the proposal. I don't know, Carla, if you can add anything else.
All depends on the participation that you have on the project. We have seen proposals that add hospitals as CSOs because they, as Irene was saying, they provide samples or they provide part of or patient's activity, but not probably mainly research. That could be an example, for example, or some patients' foundations participate on dissemination or giving ideas to the project. That could be also an example. That would be CSOs in our side.
Question number 14, regarding references panel. Are these references those that we are going to use in the proposal text? Is there a way of inserting them in the text?
Okay, no, the idea is that reference are the reference that you use on all the scientific excellence and impact tab, on all the text on that tab. The idea is not to insert the reference between the text, it's just to insert the numbers, and then you'll find that numbers on the list on the lower part of that tab. That's the idea. Okay. The reviewers are Spanish or international?
Yeah, so all the reviewers are based outside of Spain and Portugal. That doesn't mean that they're not Spanish or Portuguese working outside. That is possible. But they are not currently working in organizations based in Spain and Portugal. I think we have more questions, so we can wait a little bit. I don't know, Carla, if you want to add in between any information that might be useful.
Again, as Irene was saying before, please work your application in advance. Last 24 hours, it's always a little bit tense. So check through the validation button, make sure that your organization manager has validate your participation. If you need to register a new organization, please, organizations managers, follow all these steps. Besides registering the user, you will need to activate or register properly the organization. So follow all the steps so you avoid last-minute problems, okay?
Also, we will have a video probably at the end of the month or beginning of November that can help you through the online system. But check also the manual. The manual, I think, is very useful. It's a step-by-step, and in case you have any trouble with any of the topics that Carla mentioned or any others, I think it's a good idea to first look at the manual, and then if you still have a problem, send us an email.
One question for consortiums, the non-host organizations can only present PI?
No, well, the idea is the same as the host organization. The information that we have from the host is the same as we have for the partner. So basically there's a box where you can describe your team members and it's exactly the same. So there's a PI always, which in case of the host organization is the PL, and in case of the partners is the PI, but you can also define or describe your team members.
Yes, if I can add here, for all organizations, for all research performing organizations, host organizations or consortiums, you will have a short kind of CV for PL and PIs, but in both cases, as Irene was saying, you will have a box to be able to just explain your teammates, your team members, and their participation on the project mainly. Also for CSOs, you will have a box to explain their participation on the project, but there's not a CV related.
It's important to describe the CV of all the PL and PIs carefully. You have a table where you can define the publications that relate to the proposal, the 5 most important publications related to the proposal. There's also a box where you can define other outputs, other research outputs, or scientific outputs that you can that can add value to your curriculum. Please use all the boxes to describe your CV, because that's what the reviewers should evaluate. Very good. So I think if there are no more questions, again, you have the Health Research email to contact us for other specific questions, and all the information that you have on the website.